So in this day and age, do you need to get married? No, you don't. But if you are going to choose to be legally married, then don't look at the piece of paper in the ring. Look at choosing your absolute best friend that you want to be with day in and day out, that you are prepared to be happy with, to not have to change them in any way, shape, or form. As soon as you look at a partner, if there's anything about them you want to change while you're dating them, they're not the right ones for you. Because if you're thinking that about them, they're thinking that about you too. And do you want somebody who's settling? Why do we need to settle? We have one life. We get to have it all, but we have to feel worthy of it. But AuKeeRa, what if I'm already in a marriage and it's failing? The truth of the matter is that we can always see something as a success. So the first thing you need to look at is you, because that's the one person whose behavior you have control over. People love to be loved. They do. We all do. So that's where you start. You start doing what's right for you. You start treating the person with respect because you're treating you with respect. If the person that you're with is being belligerent, then walk away. Why would you sit there and argue? Like I said earlier, is anything really worth fighting over? We waste so much time fighting without solution in sight. Why? Because usually we're fighting about the most ridiculous things just to try to prove we're right. Well, you're right for you. Doesn't mean you need to be right for the other person. So what does that look like? If you're in a relationship, you must earn your way out. You don't get the cut and run. Why? Because if you just leave a relationship that you feel is failing, you will attract the same relationship again. Because you haven't shown yourself what is your responsibility in the relationship. So what does that mean? What it means is you become, you know how they always say treat other people like you'd like to be treated? That's what you do. When we start to treat another person with respect, a lot of women that I've worked with and men fear that that means the relationship's going to turn around, and deep down they don't really want it. But I will tell you, if you want a relationship to work its natural course, treating the other person with respect doesn't make a relationship work out if it's not meant to. What it means is you develop a mature exit strategy. So if you are wonderful to be around and a friendship does develop, you might find that that's where it ends. And that's okay. And then the rest of it will still work itself out. I watch people going through divorces who are still fighting and fighting and fighting. Why, people? It's over. But they're still trying to hurt the other person to show that they have control, and the other person is still partaking in the fight. It takes two to fight. And I realize it's not easy once you've been hurt. But when a marriage is failing, when a relationship is failing, even if you're not married, that's where you start. You start by treating the other person with respect. And of course, the first person you treat with respect is you. That means you watch your tone of voice. It means that you don't make the other person work hard to feel better. You make you feel better. And if sometimes that means just leaving the room, don't do it in a huff or like a 2-year-old. Just be respectful. You are not there to be the other person's parent or navigate their behaviors. Yeah, but AuKeeRa, I really think it's broken. What do? I don't know what to do. I feel so lost. You have to remember when a relationship starts to fall apart, we feel like we've failed. We're not failures. We're not. We do what we know what we're supposed to do, and that's all we know at that time. We are always doing our best. It's only in time that we learn to do things differently as long as we're observing what we've been doing before. But we can't always tell ourselves, well, I did this wrong. No, you did what you thought was right at that time. You have to give credit where credit's due. Even when it's messy, give credit where credit's due. The biggest thing that we forget is in the middle of a sentence, we can stop ourselves. If a person walks through the door and we want so badly to be happy to see them, but we're having the worst day of our lives, why can't you just walk up, throw your arms around them, and say, God, I'm having a crappy day, but I'm so happy to see you. Honesty. But honesty of self, not honesty of blame. There's no honesty when it comes to blame. When we suddenly say something as if to say, you didn't, and we're going to finish it with you didn't do this or you didn't do that, we can stop and say, oh, no. And if the other person says, well, what were you going to say, I was going to say something that was totally inappropriate. Oh. Often I find the tone of voice the biggest problem in relationships. There always seems to be an air of disrespect there. And the way we carry ourselves around each other. And that's the first thing you can change when you feel a relationship is failing or broken. The way you carry yourself. But he or she hurt me and I cannot forgive them. Well, there's your answer right there. You need to tell yourself you are where you need to be right now. You need to put yourself first and not decide you are a victim. You need to give yourself the love, care, and attention that you need at this time. That means, yes, you pull back from the relationship that you're in. Doesn't mean that you have to leave it or move out if you're already living together or married. But it means you put yourself first. And if the other person says, well, you're just not present in this relationship anymore, and I don't like the way you're acting, say with a smile on your face rather than guilt, and not snidely, right now I need me, and I need to figure out what I'm doing because I don't really know right now. And once I figure it out, I'll do my best to explain it to you. It's acting like adults. Partnership is a really big deal. And for those of us who are lucky enough to find partners that we can navigate each step of life with, I call them parallel partners. It's people we choose to walk beside as whole people. And sometimes we might move far away from each other. It's the faith of knowing that we'll come back. It's the faith to know that we will always walk beside each other even when we can't see each other. And you see, that's like friends. That's like friendship. A relationship is not meant to complete the other person. It's just not. It can't complete you. It can't complete me. We can't use somebody else to fill ourselves up because eventually we will become exhausted. So, AuKeeRa, when do I know enough's enough? When we've truly had enough of the relationships that we're in, that's when the fighting stops. If you are still fighting to be right, fighting for power, you are still very much invested in the relationship. You are still trying to control it to some degree. You are still trying to prove to yourself that you're right. Back away for a second. Look at how you can act. Look at what you can do. And stop fighting. Yeah, but then you just said the relationship is over for sure, and I'm not sure I want it to be over. But it can also only work if the fighting stops too. Whether you're staying or whether you're leaving, the actions are the same. To make a relationship work, it's a place you have to want to be every day. Oh, well, good relationships always fight. They always have a good fight. When we are talking like adults, we don't need to fight. Please remember those words and then decide if marriage is right for you. I'm AuKeeRa Rayne. I will meet with you back here next week. Until then, take care.
Thank you for being with us on The Psychology of Spirit with your host, AuKeeRa Rayne. We hope you've enjoyed today's program and will return to us next Monday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern Time and 2 p.m. Pacific Time on Seventh Wave Network. Remember, life is not meant to be an uphill climb. It's just life.